President Joe Biden terminates military construction on the U.S.-Mexico border wall. We have an increase in gun crime and homicides in Chicago. And lastly, a Wisconsin high school segregates parents based on race. And I have a lot to say about that. Welcome to the Bald Brad Show. Before we get into our lead story, please take a moment right now to hit that like button. It does help the YouTube algorithm push my video out there to viewers who have not seen my content or my channel. And if you enjoy the Bald Brad Show and you want to support a new conservative talk show, please make sure you hit that subscribe button, but also the bell notification button so you're notified whenever we go live, which is every Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And with that being said, our lead story comes from our friends over at the Daily Wire. If you're not already a member, please go over and become a subscriber today. This is written by Emily Zanotti, and she titles it, Biden Terminates Military Border Wall Construction, Cancels Contracts. She starts off saying, on Friday, the White House quietly ended the military's involvement in border wall construction, canceling contracts inked during the Trump administration, leaving holes in the border wall amid an ongoing illegal immigration crisis. So again, they don't even look at it as a crisis. They look at it as a challenge. What are they challenging at this point? You removed all of Trump's policies. You're not continuing building the border wall. So what exactly are you doing to fix anything other than literally allowing people to come over and then dealing with the problem while they are here? That doesn't make any sense. And so I have a theory about all this, and I've said it before. I think the Democrats and the left and the Biden administration want to create such a crisis to where it's not fixable, and the only answer is to give complete amnesty to roughly 13 illegal immigrants. That's the only thing that makes sense, because I don't know why you would roll back Trump's policies. I don't know why you would stop construction of the border wall. And now I don't know why you would stop military construction of the border wall when that money was already set aside and planned for the border wall, roughly $15 billion. So they're not making the problem any better, guys. They're only making things worse, and this is proof. So they have no intention of fixing this. And it even shows, right? Kamala Harris having discussions and conversations with Guatemala, El Salvador, and Mexico. Like, really? You having conversations going to fix things? And you saying, well, this is a complicated, it's a very complex issue at the U.S.-Mexico border because climate change and income inequality. It's like, all right, lady, whatever you say, throw whatever isms out there that you want, throw whatever leftist jargon out there you want. You still have a crisis. You still have a problem. And you talking to somebody over the phone about their problems isn't going to fix it. We have the solutions. We have the tools necessary to fix this problem on our end. We don't need to rely on El Salvador. We don't need to rely on Honduras. We don't need to rely on Guatemala. We don't need to rely on Mexico. We can do it ourselves. You just build the wall, and I promise you a lot of people are going to struggle coming over. Now, will there be a few people that are going to slip over the wall or try and dig tunnels? Yeah, but we're not going to have 2 million people doing it, because right now that's the projection of how many people are going to come into this country illegally by the end of the year. 2 million people, folks. That's more than United States citizens in 3 freaking states. 3 states in the union. That's going to be the population of illegal immigrants coming into our country by the end of the year. But there's no problem, guys. There's no issue. They're not looking to give these people amnesty. They're not looking for this to turn into votes. Nothing of the sort, right? There's probably a reason why they want to increase minimum wage. Because they're going to have a lot of low-skilled workers coming into the country. There's a lot of weird foo-foo stuff going on. Again, it's just a theory of mine. But I'm trying to connect the dots here of why do this? Like, what's the only thing that makes sense here? And for me, meditating on this, as you guys know, I sit back, I read a lot, I try to think, okay, what is the game plan here? That's the only thing for me that makes sense, is you're ending everything, you haven't come up with any solutions, and you're only exacerbating the problem. So what's the long-term goal here? My guess, it's probably amnesty. That's what I'm looking at here, and I don't know where the conservatives are at on this. I feel like they should be jumping up and down. Now, I know that Ted Cruz, and we got Representative Georgia going down there. I know we got some Democrats going down there to the U.S.-Mexico border saying, look, we have a crisis. There needs to be more done regarding this. The Republicans and conservatives need to create an uproar about what is happening. Guys, when you hear that there's more people coming into the U.S.-Mexico border than we're going to have in 3 of our states out of 50, that's a massive migration issue. like massive. And nobody seems to be complaining about it. As far as I'm seeing, I'm one of the few channels that reports on this every single day. Now, I understand that it gets a little bit tiring, but we need to know what's going on here. And when you're having this mass migration issue, this leads to other things. Healthcare issues. You're going to have an increase in minimum wage because now you got a lot of low-skilled workers coming in and standard of living is changing and they're going to want more money. Your taxes are going to increase because you have to pay for more of this stuff and money has to come from somewhere and it's going to come out of our pockets. So this has drastic consequences. This isn't like, oh, well, people are coming over, so cool, that's it. You know, you're going to see crime going up in certain areas. You're going to see drugs going up in certain areas, or at least drug crime. This has massive effects on our country and none of it particularly good. Is the only thing that's probably good coming out of all this. Are we going to get some maybe immigrants coming over illegally that, I don't know, maybe are good within mathematics somehow or good in some sort of skills that could benefit our country? Sure, maybe. Is that statistic low? Absolutely it's low, but it's just unbelievable what the Biden administration is willing to do here. And again, I'm not seeing a ton of conservatives really reporting on this, guys, and as upset as I am about all of this. Look, I am upset with how it's being handled. Do I feel for illegal immigrants and them wanting a better life? Absolutely. But again, we can't just have a willy-nilly free open border. You have to progressively let people into the system. You just can't just wide open, floodgates, figure it out, find the housing, find the work, everything will be sorted out. Nuh-uh, that's not how it works. And you're going to basically jam the system. The system's not capable of dealing with a migration issue like this, and that's why we have quotas on how many people we let in. You do it incrementally, the system can absorb that, people can assimilate into it, and then you end up having a nice booming economy. But what you're going to have happen potentially is just a massive decrease within the economy just because you've increased taxes to support certain issues. You're going to have an increased taxes on corporations, which is going to decrease issues because who's going to want to invest in R&D? Who's going to want to hire more workers? And you're only going to hire the skilled workers. You're not going to hire the low skilled workers for those jobs. You're going to have to end up having massive healthcare issues with all the illegal immigrants coming in that are going to end up taking part of that. If they do receive amnesty, you're going to have freaking massive unemployment rates. You're going to have massive increase in welfare, which we're going to have to pay for. It has a spiraling effect here is what I'm saying. So that was just me spitballing a few things. I wasn't planning on going down that road of explaining all that. But if that's just me coming up with things on the top of my head, that means there's a lot of other things that I left out of that list that are going to impact us negatively rather than helping us positively, which we need right now after COVID. We don't need this crisis right now. If you want to have something like this happen, maybe like 10 years down the road after we just got done fixing ourselves, but Joe Biden doesn't think that way because Joe Biden doesn't think. His administration doesn't think. At least we saw Trump go on Twitter and say his thoughts. We didn't always agree with them. We thought they were silly. Some of them were freaking hilarious. I miss Trump right now. I miss Kayleigh McEnany as well, Sarah Huckabee Sanders, all those great people. But you know, you have Biden out here. Why in God's name would you stop construction of the border wall? I mean, he already did that already, but he's now stopping the military construction of the border wall, which Trump got through. I just don't know why in God's name you would do it. I really don't. The Pentagon announced the change on Friday, suggesting that freeing up the money being used to complete the barrier project along the southern border will ultimately benefit the United States military by allowing the funds to go to other higher priority projects. Now, the whole purpose of our United States military is to defend this great nation. But when you don't even have a border wall and you're allowing some bad people, not everybody, come into our country, how are you defending it when there's holes in the wall? What the heck are you defending? You just have an open front door that says, hey, come on in. Check the place out. Shoot it up if you want. Bring in all the drugs. The logic is so mind-blowing. It's incomprehensible. You can't comprehend it. That's what I'm talking about. I'm trying to think of what could possibly be going through our president's mind, which is causing me ultimately to slip up on phraseology. Forgive me. It's just truly, truly unbelievable. The DOD has begun taking all necessary actions to cancel border barrier projects and to coordinate with its interagency projects and partners. The Pentagon said in its statement, today's action reflects this administration's continued commitment to defending our nation and supporting service members and their families. How in God's name does you stop the construction of the border wall help in defending our nation? From ancient times, they built border walls that was to help defend their nation. Heck, there's only pretty much 2 countries that are surrounding us. You got Canada and Mexico for the most part, folks. If you know of another one, let me know. But wouldn't you think it's kind of a good thing to have a border wall, especially when you're having 2 million people projected to cross into your country by the end of 2021? Do you think of not anything high priority than that? We're spending billions of dollars here, guys. It's not like this stuff is, it's not like we're spending 25 cents to keep a child fed for a year, okay? We're paying for their food. We're paying for their housing. We're paying for their clothing. We're paying for their bedding. We're paying for their utilities. We're paying for their education. We're paying for their legal services, okay? So this isn't just cheap stuff. It just doesn't, it's not just cheap handouts here. This stuff is expensive, folks. And when you're talking about 2 million people, you know it's at least a few $100s. And these people are being kept for weeks. You go somewhere and live for a week without having to pay for utility. Just pay for food alone, and you let me know how much money you rack up yourself, let alone an entire family. Just let me know. But this is unbelievable that this is happening. And again, it shows you that they don't take it seriously. It shows you they don't take any of this as a crisis, and they have no plan on fixing it. They just plan on making this worse. But Kamala Harris, hey, she's having great talks with those foreign nations down there, isn't she? Those are working out real well by listing out all their problems when we can fix our issue here alone without their help. Yes, do they have problems? Sure. Can we help them? Absolutely. Let's build a border wall first. Take those nice, beautiful savings, and we can help them out with that then. How about that? Heck, we'll have so much money saved that we could throw it at our military, some there, maybe help our vets, help our homeless, figure that whole situation out. How about throw a little bit in Chicago because clearly they're having gun crimes. Maybe help our education system out by getting rid of critical race theory, the 1619 Project, maybe stop segregating people and their families. We'll get into all that. But you see what, I'm listing all these out because our country is going in a bad direction. At least we had Trump that at least corrected it some way, shape, or form. But now you got the Biden administration that's just steering it hard left, and nobody's calling the guy out on this. Even conservatives, again, I'm talking this at least every day or every other day. I'm talking about the construction border wall. I get it gets boring, or what's happening with the immigration issue at the U.S.-Mexico border, but we have to cover this because you guys need to know what's going on. Yeah, you'll see Fox News cover it now and then for a few segments. Sure, maybe Ben Shapiro will throw it out there and Steven Crowder. But we need to do long-form segments of this so you guys see the severity of it. And I think that's one thing conservatives are lacking is, yeah, we can make fun of this and poke fun of it with that or this or that, which I do sometimes. You see me laugh. But also, we need to throw emotion into the mix along with statistics because the left loves emotion, and that's what they drive off of. And so we need to bring emotion back into it, which hopefully I'm doing through this segment. But this is unbelievable. It goes on to say, this is Politico notes, the second part of President Joe Biden's efforts to ending President Donald Trump's anti-illegal immigration border wall project. The first step was an executive order issued the same day Biden was inaugurated, rescinding the former president's border emergency declaration and freezing around $15 million planned in congressional spending on the border wall. But, hey, this isn't going to get fixed, guys. They're only making this worse. I'm not going to spend time going through this rest of this article. It says everything pretty much I already mentioned. It just repeats itself of giving an update on what's going on, how this happened. We all know how this happened. Joe Biden was an idiot. First day in office, decided to rescind a bunch of policies, decided to stop construction of the border wall, and is now stopping the military construction of the border wall, meaning the entirety of the border wall construction has been halted. But he can't figure out why there's a migration issue. I didn't tell people to come over. I just told them to come over. What? The guy doesn't know anything going on, and the fact that he got voted in, there's no way that this guy's making it a second term. There's no way. One, just based on what he's doing now, but two, just from what I've seen, the way this guy talks, the way this guy walks, how he looks. I mean, every day his eyes get more and more like closed like this. You know what I mean? Before his eyes were open like mine, like, hey, like I look alert. What's going on, guys? Let's run the show here. Now the guy's just not all there, man. I don't know if he's going to make it 4 years. Again, and that's not really, partially it's joking because I don't want him to be in office for 4 years, but I don't want anything bad to happen to him. Look, he has a family, he has a wife, people love him, so I don't want anything bad to happen to him, but I don't know what Democrats were thinking. I keep asking that. I don't know what they were thinking. I gotta stop assuming that they were thinking when they do things. I think that those kind of expectations at this point going, look, you just did something, you didn't give any thought about it. You never spent time talking to anybody, reading a book, or actually analyzing any of the statistics. You just thought it was a good idea because you felt good at that specific moment in time. Maybe that's how I should go about all this. But we have Emily Zanotti also talking about some more stuff that's a complete shocker. Who could have thought that this would have happened? Dozens shot in Chicago as city sees major spike in gun crime and homicides. Who could have saw this coming? Good old Chicago, always increasing in gun crime. By the way, they have some of the biggest gun legislation and policies and regulations in the union, and they still have an increase in gun crime. So when you have the left saying, "Oh, we should ban some assault rifles, and we should get rid of bump stocks and 10 capacity magazines," like that's gonna stop anything. You got these idiots out there like Joy Behar, shoot in the air as somebody stabbing somebody. Shut up, Joy. No, you don't know what you're talking about. Joy Behar said shoot in the air. Or they're in the left, they're going, oh, shoot him in the kneecaps, as if this is some movie. Shoot him in his trigger finger, guys. Why couldn't you do that? And by the way, it's not just Joy. The president is saying stuff like this too. The president is out there lying about guns. But the left has no clue on how guns work. They have no clue on how the military works. They don't have a clue about anything, especially how to run government. And I'm sure they're shocked about why there's an increase in Chicago. And I'm sure they'll spin this some way, shape, or form. This is why we need to get rid of guns. Yeah, right. Like now's a good time for Chicago or Chicagoans, however you call them, to not have weapons. Maybe now's probably a damn good time to have a firearm in Chicago so you can defend yourself if you got an increase in gun crime as well as homicides. It says Chicago may be heading for a violent summer. Over the weekend, dozens of people were shot and 7 were killed in gun violence that spanned the city. Over the weekend, guys. This isn't like over a month or over a year. This is over just the weekend. 7 were killed in gun violence. A continuation of a trend that has dogged Chicago, the nation's third largest city, since last summer. Fox News reported that more than 45 people were shot, including a 14-year-old boy, and 7 were killed in Chicago citywide over the weekend. Guys, it's just one city, and over the weekend you had 45 people that were shot, and 7 were killed. You project that over an entire year, that's a lot of people that are passing away. Chicago has a massive increase. This whole police, abolish the police, defund the police, looks like it ain't working out, folks, especially as leftist as Chicago is. This ain't good. There were 36 shootings reported from 6 p.m. to 11:59 p.m. Sunday. Jeez Louise. While at least 2 others were stabbed, including one victim was succumbed to his injuries, Chicago Police Department said information released by the authorities so far indicates the slain victims ranged in age from 17 to 37. So their ages 17 to 37 kind of where this crime and victims' ages are taking place. The youngest victim who died was shot while driving on Sunday. He crashed his car after sustaining a bullet wound. The youngest victim who survived was just 14 years old. 12 of the 45 people shot over the weekend were targeted during a very violent 2-hour span Saturday night. Chicago has been suffering through a spike in gun violence since last May, following the release of COVID-19 related lockdown and after national anti-racism and anti-police brutality protests that appear to have led to a decline in aggressive policing. The toll was so high in 2020, the highest the city has seen since 2016, when the South and West Sides were deep into a gang war. So there you have it. You know, Chicago's doing things right. The leftist and Democrat ran states are doing everything just perfectly, where you have homicides increasing, gun crime increasing. But hey, let's get rid of these guns, which is mind-blowing, right? Because the ones that are going to be hurt the most are law-abiding citizens that need to protect themselves. Look, somebody, if they want a gun, they're going to find it, and they're going to find it illegally, which is what a lot of these people are already doing. So why in God's name do you think like a gun confiscation, gun confiscation or a buyback is going to work in any way? You have like over 300 million firearms in circulation in the United States, and you think a buyback and you turning in your guns is going to work? Nobody's going to turn in their guns. Again, they don't think, man. They don't think about anything. They just base everything off feelings like, hey, you know what feels good today, Nancy? You know what feels real good today? If we did some sort of gun control because people are being shot. And you know what? I think we should get rid of the AR-15. Well, why do you feel like that, Joe? Why do you feel like we should get rid of the AR-15? That's Nancy fixing her dentures. Nancy, I just feel that way, you know? I don't have anything. I don't have any understanding. I just feel that way. Who needs a gun to hunt? Who needs a 100-round capacity magazine to hunt? Oh my God, dude. I just don't understand how, I don't look at myself as a genius. I look at myself as an idiot. And I know better than our president. I know better than Nancy Pelosi, Maxine Waters, Kamala Harris. Like, how is it I'm able to formulate coherent thoughts and make connections about things, and these people leading the most prestigious position in all the free land that we have doesn't have a clue on anything? As if they never touched a firearm. As if they never looked at statistics and read them. As if they never had education. Am I the only one that's mind is completely blown on how these people made it this far in their life? It goes on here. According to Chicago's Fox affiliate, Fox 32, the city is already closing in on 200 homicides, and it's only April. Nearly twice as many people were shot in Chicago this past weekend as the one previous, with homicides closing in on the 200 mark for just 4 months into the year. The outlet reported Monday, to date this year, at least 1,040 people have been shot in Chicago, and there have been at least 195 homicides. It has nothing to do with race, by the way. This is just all low-income areas. You have gang violence happening. This has bigger problems than anything to do with race. This is everything to do with culture. The culture from those neighborhoods, the culture goes down to the family, and then the culture ultimately goes down to the individual. The individual's decision based on their own milieu, their own culture that they decide to choose is what their actions are reflecting. And so you always have Democrats and the leftists bring up race into all this. Has nothing to do with melanin. Has everything to do with the culture that you were brought up with and the decisions that you're making that ultimately have been reflected from those cultures. So and it makes sense, right? If you grow up in a gang crime-ridden area, you're used to that milieu. You don't have the wherewithal to go out and research and see what the rest of the world's like. And so you think the best option for you and the only option for you is to join a gang. And that's only exacerbated by what Democrats and the left are saying of, look, the system's racist. Police are racist. Everybody's racist. That's going to keep you down. So, hey, you know what? You might as well join a gang because you're not going to make it. You're not going to make something of yourself because the whole system's against you. Why put in the effort on education? Why try to better your life in any way? Why go out and try to get a job? Why try to get out of that low-income housing? Why try not to make a lot of money? Like, why do all those things when the system's going against you, man? And by the way, vote Democrat. We'll help you. We're going to help you get out of this. Joe's there to save you, right? Joe's the savior, and you got Kamala Harris. Look, none of these people live in low-income areas, guys. If they wanted to help you, don't you think that they would go into low-income areas, buy a house, and try to fix the place up a little bit? They don't care about you. Conservatives care about you. That's why we're talking like this. I'm not going to give you a handout, but I can give you the tools of thinking that's necessary for you to rise up. You're going to have to work hard. You're going to have to bust your you-know-what really hard to get out of that situation. And you know what? You might not even recoup the benefits of you busting you-know-what. I'm trying not to cuss in this episode. But if you're working hard, it might not be you reaping those benefits, but it might be your children or your grandchildren. And that's how you fork your family tree. That is how you have a multi-generational success within your family and your last name. It doesn't take... By the way, it doesn't take 3 generations, guys. It takes 1 generation. Odds are, if you do 3 things, and we talked about this last episode, according to the Brookings Institute, as long as you don't have a child out of wedlock, you graduate high school, and you get a job, you're not going to be permanently poor in the United States of America, depending if you always make good decisions. Now, if you have a milieu like Chicago here, you might not be making good decisions, but I don't know who the heck would want to move to Chicago. And this isn't the only leftist city that this is happening with. This is happening all across the United States, guys. You're having an increase in homicides. You're having an increase in crime. You're having an increase in homelessness. You're having an increase in taxes. You're having an increase in liabilities for businesses because they're having to take out loans to survive. You're having a decrease in employment because wages are drastically too high. They can't employ a ton of workers, to where if you cut that in half, now instead of having one employee, you can have two employees. So now it's better that you have a job than you didn't have a job. I can go on forever and I can rant for hours on this stuff, but Democrats don't see it. Democrats don't know how to fix everything, which is why you have Chicago here having an increase in gun crime as well as homicides. So stay clear of Chicago, my friends. And lastly, it gets only worse here, folks. The Democrats and the left want to segregate people based on race. Remember, I don't know, about 60 years ago when we had the civil rights movement and we wanted to get rid of segregation, which was a great idea? And now the left and the Democrat Party, the same party as the Ku Klux Klan, the same party, the party of racism, is now wanting to segregate people. History's repeating itself, guys. And they don't see it. They think this segregation stuff's a good idea. Having safe spaces based on race. If you're white, you can't go in the circle. Having dorms for people of color and white people. How is that any different than having a bathroom for white people and a bathroom for people of color? A drinking fountain for white people, a drinking fountain for people of color. You're segregating people on race, and that is so mind-blowing. The fact that they can't make this connection is truly astonishing. It is truly astonishing. It wasn't that long ago in history. Hell, there's people still roaming this earth that lived through Jim Crow, that lived through the civil rights movement, that lived through segregation. I mean, hell, they're still alive. So it's not like it's been like hundreds of years, like, holy shit, like this happened. Like, who could have thought? Who could have thought that this could have happened? Like, unbelievable. So this is written by Ash Shko. I don't know if I'm saying that right. I've actually never seen this person on the Daily Wire before, but this article does come from the Daily Wire. We're doing all Daily Wire today. It's titled, Wisconsin High School Segregated Parents to Discuss Police Brutality. The principal has now apologized, sort of. So let's go into this article. Segregation continues to make a comeback in the United States under the guise of affinity groups. So they just change the labeling of things to make it, we're not segregating people. What we're really doing, listen, Marge, listen. What we're really doing, it's called affinity groups, okay? Well, are you still separating based on race? Yeah, Marge, but you don't get it. It's based on affinity groups. I don't know where that impression came from, but it sounded fun. Where white people are separated from people of color in order to be told how privileged they are, while people of color are allowed to discuss how white people are racist. Wow. Well, hey, we're back 60 years ago, folks. Welcome to the civil rights movement. Democrats are back being racist, and Republicans are back trying to fix things. The latest example occurred at Madison West High School in Madison, Wisconsin, where families of students were invited to discuss all the police brutality and violence that is going on, according to a copy of the email reviewed by the Federalist. The email also said that it is very necessary to have space for our families to discuss and process. Okay. I don't know why the school is offering that. Why can't you just do that on your own? I don't get it. The email provided two separate links to Zoom meetings, one for parents of color and the other for white parents, the Federalist reported. In response to the email, the Wisconsin Institute for Law and Liberty sent a letter to Madison Metro, the school district superintendent, and about the harms of the segregation. Okay, well, you sending a letter is not necessarily going to do anything. Racial segregation is never beneficial or benign. It is our hope that leadership at the MMSD take this opportunity, forgive me, my voice is about to go out, to commit the school district to the principle of equality and end all segregation immediately. That's not going to happen. Following the letter, West High School principal issued an apology of sorts, telling the Wisconsin State Journal that the email did not convey our intention in a manner that supports our core values, and adding that the wording in the communication we sent lacked clarity. No, it lacked clarity. I mean, it literally was for people of color and white people. I don't know how much more clear you could be other than saying black people, white people. So They got caught with their pants down, and now they're trying to sort it out by kind of giving an apology, meaning not giving an apology and kind of saying, well, you misunderstood us. I don't think we did, man. And this stuff is going all across the school systems. If you guys have heard of Anthony Logan Bryant, and hopefully I'm pronouncing his name, ABL, I actually called into his show over the weekend and talked to him about this for like 10 minutes. And I would love to be on ABL's show. So if you guys could do me a huge favor, if you're seeing this, go over to one of his comments and ask for Bald Brad to be on his show. Like if you all go over there, like 50 or 60 people, and say, have Bald Brad on your show, have Bald Brad on your show. He should know who I am and remember me, because we had a good conversation for about 4 or 5 minutes. I mean, that's pretty long for calling in. It might have been longer than that. But I would love to talk to him. We had a great conversation. But, you know, this segregation stuff is nuts. And it's not just happening in high school. It's just happening in middle school. It's happening in elementary school. It's happening in colleges and universities. So this is all across the United States. And it's truly unbelievable that the Democrats don't acknowledge and see this as segregation. And I don't know why. And it goes back to that premise. You know, that's me basing the idea that they are thinking about things. So I wanted to bring this story up because I work in the school system. I don't see this happening at the schools that I've worked at. And I've worked at about 4 or 5 schools now. I haven't seen this yet. I would be shocked if I ever saw this at my school. And I'd probably speak up by saying, hey, this is not a good look. This is not a good idea. I don't see my school ever doing this, because my school that I work at is awesome. And I'm not just saying that because I'm on YouTube, but I really do believe that the school that I'm working at is one of the top 2 schools that I ever wanted to work at. So I'm very thankful and blessed to be at the institution that I am at. But I would not be happy to be at Wisconsin High School, because what they're doing is extremely wrong. And with that being said, folks, that is all the news I have for you today. Thank you for bearing with me as I am still sick. As you can see, I know that sometimes my cough drop makes noise inside the mic. Again, forgive me. I'm trying to make do with having fever, cough, all that stuff. But I really do appreciate your loyalty. Thank you so much for supporting the Bald Brad Show, supporting me and everyone else. Again, if you enjoy the content, make sure you hit that like button. It does help me, as well as the subscribe button and the bell notification button. We are growing fast, guys. I think we're going to hit over 2,000 before May's done. I mean, we're only on May 4th here, and we've almost had 300 subscribers in like 3 days. I think in the last like 2 days, we've had 228 or something like that. So we are growing really fast, and I want you to be on board and grow with me. And how cool would it be to say, hey, I watched this guy when he was grassroots, filming out of his closet, you know what I mean? And I remember a lot of your names in the comments. I keep seeing like Sandy, I keep seeing Iron, I keep seeing Jonas. I can't think of off the top of my head, but you know, when I see your name pop up, I remember you and go, oh yeah, hey, there you are again. Some of you have names I can't even pronounce, but it's nice seeing you guys. I almost look at you guys as friends. I don't know you well enough to call you a friend yet, but you know, it's cool seeing you guys as acquaintances and seeing you on there and supporting me. And you know, if I ever ran into you one day, you know, make sure you say hi in the future. But you know, we're a small channel right now, but the hope is that we can grow and be one of the biggest conservative talk shows out there, on par with Charlie Kirk, Candace Owens, Ben Shapiro, Andrew Klavan, Michael Knowles, Matt Walsh, all these people, Officer Tatum, ABL. All these people I want to be on par with, but I need your help to do that. So please support the channel, and everyone have a great and lovely day. Take care of yourselves, and I will be praying for all of you and everyone that supports the Bald Brad Show, as well as this great country of the United States of America. With that being said, take care, everyone, and have a great day.